So I wanted to ask you, what is the process like for you when you have a book like Hey Kids Comics to market it, to get it out, to make sure people learn about it, to kind of.
I'm a terrible marketer. I mean, I come up of a time, and I was blindsided by how little marketing the book got, and I felt I got there too late. I have no idea. I mean, the thing about Hey Kids, and specifically in particular, is that it struck a really hard chord with professionals. I mean, I've never seen a response from professionals in my life to work that I've done. People looking at this going just blown away by their reaction to the book. It was phenomenal. But the audience didn't notice it because the audience was too interested in and as I say, variations on a theme. You know, the audience tends to divide itself into guilelessly self-regarding narcissist narratives and superhero comic books. And I don't really care about trying to convince someone whose idea of a good book is caring about whether Batman and Catwoman are really going to get married to read my stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's
not your key demographic at
it's
all.
it's just a waste of time. By the same token, I do genre material, and I frequently describe myself in the position of comics as being, Democrats, Republicans, and me, or too weird for the mainstream and too mainstream for the weird. So for me, when I talk about process, when I'm talking about the actual making of the material, I'm very geometric. I mean, I worked on really dreadful television for 15 years so I could afford the life I have today because I've never been a star in comic books. I'm the Randy Newman of comics as opposed to the Bruce Springsteen of comics. And
But you have a very unique brand, and when you say Howard Chaykin, people know you and people identify your work.
yeah, but the first thing you wanted to call me before when you introduced me was controversial, and as I said at that point, the controversial is not an inviolable absolute, but situational. What is controversial today will be the norm tomorrow, maybe, but something else might come along. I'm only controversial in the sense, and I'm only a brand in the sense that people bring an aggrieved sense of judgment to work without really investigating the work to see if that judgment is supported. And for example, only recently, these kids from Covington Catholic High School have replaced the Gillette commercial as today's outrage. And I find it fascinating that there's a desperate need for an opinion on things, and I've expressed them. I didn't see that. I have not seen the Gillette commercial. I just looked at it from a perspective of one more corporate, a commodification of a social idea in the name of corporate profit. But I can't begin to concern myself emotionally with so distractible an audience.
But it's so interesting because controversy is something that gets people's eyeballs there.
You'd be surprised.
But it's true in marketing. Whenever you have a controversial figure, a controversial topic, they get a lot more attention than someone who's trying to do good and trying to do it the right way and working hard at something. If you have something controversial, people go, "Oh, he shouldn't be doing that. Oh, he should. I believe with him. I don't." And it creates this sense of
in this direct context. I mean, in the divided states of hysteria in 2017. I was first pilloried for a cover which was done specifically to be ambiguous. I did a cover of a woman wearing a niqab made of an American flag, which predated the knockoff by the guy to the Obama poster by a couple of months. And it was kind of like, anecdotally, some years back, I saw John Patrick Shanley's play Doubt, which was filmed with Meryl Streep and Amy Adams, I think, but I saw it on stage with Cherry Jones and Ron Eldart. You know the franchise at all?
I haven't heard of the franchise at all.
It's basically, it takes place in a diocese in the Bronx in the 60s, in a Catholic school where an accusation had been made about a young priest in terms of molesting a boy and one of the students. And the play is called Doubt for a reason, because the Mother Superior, who sets herself up as the judge, jury, and inquisitor, has no doubt, but that doubt hangs over everything, and it is left ambiguous at the end. And it was a phenomenal play. I really dug it. And my wife and I are sitting at the Daily Grill on Laurel Canyon, and there's another table full of ladies who go to the theater, who come from the same show. And these girls were convinced. They had no doubt in their minds because they brought with them to the material a series of preconceived notions and prejudices that completely obviated the point of what they had just seen dramatically. Okay? when you deliver something that is an ambiguous idea, its ambiguity frequently escapes the audience that brings a political agenda to its observation.
Absolutely.
The fourth cover, the originally intended fourth cover of the book, was pilloried and pulled. And in retrospect, I regret pulling it. But I hated the fact that my publisher was taking all this ancillary heat for material that I should have been attacked for, but they felt the need to attack. But we live in a culture in which the depiction of an act is frequently mistaken for the act itself, which is absurd. You know, there's a contemporaneous chauvinism extant in the world, in the culture right now, that seeks to dismantle and diminish the world that existed before it in the name of an almost Panglossian desire to define today as this the best of all possible worlds, as we have now achieved the end of history, which is absurd.
I mean, the history is not the end of history by
Well,
any
no.
means. We're still in the process of learning. Like,
Yeah, but you've got to people of your age, many people of your age, believe that they have achieved in the concept of woke a sense of self-awareness that is transcendent, which completely ignores the fact that we are an evolutionary culture.
Absolutely.
We are an evolutionary species. We are also a tribal species, and that of ignoring those things, believing that you can legislate biology, is absurd. But we are in a world in which that is being attempted. At any rate, had those people who accused me of transphobia stayed with the book till the end, they might have learned the fact that the character that they were accusing me of being transphobic was actually the heroine of the book, and ended the book in a deep and meaningful romantic relationship with a straight man who'd fallen in love with a transgender woman. But they didn't, because they didn't read the first one either. They imposed their belief system on the material based on ambiguous evidence. And that's the culture in which we live. And unfortunately, that controversy did not help me. It's very
sad to see that, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, it shamed me.
Yeah.
Because I'm on that side of the political aisle.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be that. It should be people should really take a look at the work, but it's sad that that's not the way the world is.
Which is why I reject the idea of controversy.
Yeah.
I mean, I was asked to denounce one of the Comicsgate guys about 6 months ago, and I knew nothing about it. I mean, I just, I don't know. And it turns out a number of them are my Facebook friends. And I explored the work. I looked.
Yeah.
And it was really appalling. I'm not fond of this. This is not good, It's sexist, it's racist, and it's also just dreadful, okay? But being asked to denounce is a very dangerous and slippery slope. Denunciation can turn into a weapon. And I pointed out because I asked for, give me a day. Let me think about this, because I'm not going to respond glibly or facilely to this, because it deserves an answer.
Yep.
And I said that, I reminded these people that in 1933, when Hitler came to power, he wasn't elected by a majority. It was a oh God, what's the word? I hate when these things happen.
It was a small.
Yeah, but I mean,
council.
Yeah. Help me out here.
I don't know.
I'm lost. I'm lost. At any rate, but within a couple of years, those people who weren't Nazis were still living in a country that their lives were dramatically improved. Okay. I believe that we are in the beginning of an actual autocracy in the United States. I mean, I'm deeply concerned about the future of the country. I think you're going to live to see some truly apocalyptic junk. I'm worried for my grandchildren. And that we have to take seriously into account that many of the people who are on the left today are going to be denouncing from the right tomorrow, should this autocracy continue to develop. Because once lives are made healthier, you tend to join a winning side. That's what surrender means. Okay? So what I did was I unfriended those people who were producing these crypto-fascist comic books, but I also unfriended those who were asking me to denounce, because those people who were asking me to denounce were asking me to basically say the same things about those right-wing lunatics that was being said about me a year earlier on Divided States of Hysteria.
And so
I will not climb it. The enemy of my enemy is not my friend. That's a false positive. It's a specious idea.
It's a very interesting concept that you said. I want to just go ahead and check on their work, and I think that's something that people should do and must do before they go.
But won't do. Because they're lazy.
But that's the sad truth, is people will say, oh, denounce this or do this, and the fact that they ask you to denounce that is also very...
I was appalled. Yeah. I mean, I was insulted by the assumption that I could be manipulated in such a fashion. I'm just not that guy.